All right, we are live for the 90th episode of the
Let's Go podcast, live from the car here. One of the downsides of having a babysitter coming to your apartment is your kid cries whenever you're around, so I had to leave the makeshift office and come to the car. However, this is one of the most energy we had coming into a podcast in a long time. We have the Hall of Famers, Steve Pollan and Glenn Zuckerman here, coming off of I will get into it, but it was apparently an emotional, and I wasn't there. I was busy winning my own semifinals, but it was a really thrilling semifinal in which they dropped game 2, win game 3, advance to the championship to play against yours truly. They have a lot to say, and it's going to be a fun ride the next 40 minutes or half an hour or so. And David, you could take it from here, or be distracted on your phone.
I couldn't hear what Avi said. Were you guys?
Yeah, Avi, you're going out. Go back to the babysitter.
Am I here? Do you guys hear me?
Difficulties as usual.
What did you say at the end there?
No, I was just saying that this podcast has the potential to be the most thrilling, high energy podcast we had in a long time due to circumstances that happened on Sunday. And then I said that you should take it away, and I thought you got distracted on your phone, but apparently nobody heard me. So, go ahead.
We couldn't hear you. All right, yeah, not much to take away. I think Glenn and Steve will take it away themselves. They were facing a team that they had just lost 2 big seasons in a row to.
And can we wait? Time out. The fall season is not the Bombers. That is not a franchise of our history. That's a separate team. That has nothing to do with the Bombers. So a lot of guys are not the same. The management, the ownership of that team is not the same. So let's. They didn't beat the Bombers in the fall.
Yeah, but Steve, you know what? These guys were chirping at us nonetheless. So.
Okay, but that's chirping personal. That's not us as a team, the Bombers.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get that clear. I know that's been a misnomer on this podcast for a long time now. The Bombers have lost once to the Gordon, whatever they want to call themselves this year, once to that team, and the fall team was a separate team. We will have that fall team, God willing, will come back, and that'll be revenge as well. But that's
revenge tour 2.
That's a separate. As they say in Yeshiva, that's a separate inning.
It's a separate inning. Well, despite them being separate teams, there were whispers, there were murmurs around the Jewish softball world that Steve Pollan and Glenn Zuckerman were over the hill, that they were washed up, that they no longer had the it factor, that they couldn't do it anymore, and that they had their last hurrah. And there was a lot of, that's what people were starting to say.
It wasn't people; it was just Archie, really. I think. But we'll get to him in a minute. Let me start, David. Us old veterans, we don't necessarily need any extra incentive, but there were certainly some people, including yourself, on the podcast from Friday, that got us extra energized. So we'll start with you, David. You basically came on. You said that we can't be beat. Avi's prediction. You said that we can't. That Gordon Cup is the better team. That the Sheriff is better than Pollan. And until we beat them, you won't change your mind on that. That's what you said.
But I did predict you guys to win.
Avi said if we lose game 2, we're going to get blown out in game 3. Okay, so let's just start maybe just, if we can, take one step back. You did make a good point in your podcast.
Glenn, for the record, I just want to say, based on that prediction, we were up 3-0 in the first inning of game 1. And I said, guys, do me a favor. Turn the heat down a little bit. I want this going game 3. I don't just want to beat these guys. I also want to shut up Avi in the process. So we would have wanted to, but we wanted to make this more, I know the HSL likes content. So for Avi, we decided to wait till game 3.
By the way, I was pretty accurate, by the way, because from my understanding, Gordon Companies had like a 3-run lead in the late innings of game 3. So that could have easily gone to a 5-6 run lead, and my prediction would have been on the money.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about the turning point of the game. On FAN they have the turning point of the game. We're gonna talk about the turning point of the game in a second. But before we get there, I just want to point out that for some reason, Steve gave you our lineup before the game, and you correctly pointed out that this wasn't really the Bombers. This was a lot of guys out of position, a lot of guys missing,
5 starters missing,
guys playing injured, and we were certainly shorthanded, to say the least. Bloom was a big missing piece. Shuey Ofman just had surgery yesterday, by the way, before slamming to him. Big missing piece. So that wasn't exactly the same team as what you've seen in the past. We had
Donnie
guys playing out
Perlman,
of position. Donnie Perlman, broken
and
kneecap.
you're
You're right.
forgetting our most
Okay.
important, Shea
And the most
Weiss, a
important,
legendary bomber, who is the
Shea Weiss.
outside of Seth Fishman is probably our number one all-time leader in playoff hitting ever. I mean, I know
And
Glenn
trash
came
talker.
just recent, yeah. And
The
defensively,
trolling is starting. Ellie Race says if he was there, it would have been a different outcome.
who's
He
Ellie
wanted to
Race?
play in a girls' league. Listen, at the end of the day, we really walked into that game saying, do we have enough? Hopefully we have enough. We know that we had Steve, and that could usually get us, almost to the finish line just on that alone. But do we have enough hitting, in order to beat these guys? First game, we start out very quickly, up quick 2-0, 3-0. We had a
And
guy
again,
thrown
guys,
out on a base pass.
this is game 2 for everyone watching. Game 1, the Bombers won game 1. This is game 2 that Glenn's referring to, the first of 2 games
Correct.
on Sunday.
We had momentum out of the gate. We had a base running blunder that shut down what would have been a really big inning.
I don't know if it was
And
a
then
blunder.
there was
It was.
what was that?
I don't know if it was really a blunder. It was 3-0. We had second, third with one out. I was up. I hit a line drive to center field. I couldn't believe the ball stayed up, and the guy off second was caught because it was a hard hit ball. He thought it was gonna drop, and it just stayed up. And the guy made a good play. I think it was Koenigsberg made the play. I think, and he threw the guy at second to double him
Yeah,
up.
I think it was a misread, but regardless, it was a big turning point of the momentum. And
Yeah,
then we
100%.
started bleeding a little bit. And to be honest, we were yelling at each other. We were coming a little bit apart, uncharacteristically. I mean, Steve will tell you. And then fast forward, we lost that game. And then fast forward to game 3, because we don't have all day. But in game 3, the opposite happened. We found ourselves behind. What was it, 5-2, Steve?
We went up 2-0 to start at the top of the first. They scored
Right.
1 in the bottom of the first to make it 2-1, and then they scored 4 in the bottom of the second to make it 5-2.
Right. Now, at that point, that's where the turning point. We were screaming at each other. There were some errors. There were some throws to the wrong bases and overthrows and this and that. And I said to Steve, you may remember Steve, I said, Steve, I'm going to be the bad guy here. You don't, stay quiet. I'm going to, and I started giving the guys a little bit of heat, but I was overshadowed by this loudmouth on the other team. I don't remember, Steve, what was his name?
I don't know who you're referring to.
The guy on the other team that was heckling nonstop.
Archie?
He didn't get any hits. He really didn't
Who?
affect the game. Oh, it was Net. Who was it? Adam, you're here, Adam. Who was the guy screaming on the other team like a 2-year-old?
I don't. I'm failing to recall right now. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was this lefty hitter. He flew out like lazy fly balls the entire day.
They had
Couple
2
ground
good
balls
lefty
to
hitters.
first.
They had 2 good lefty hitters. They had a guy, Koenigsberg's a very good hitter. Maddox, solid hitter. They had a third lefty.
It was
I know
some
you're
no
talking
name.
about. The guy who flew out 3 times. I know who you're talking about. The guy popped
Yeah,
up
it was
to
some no
the
name.
guy, big spot in the 6th. Man on second, 2 out, 1 out, and he popped up to the infield. That guy?
Yeah.
Oh,
Certainly
yeah,
not
okay.
anybody that you would have heard of.
Yeah, I told
But-
that guy was he was using a lot of energy, running around the bases for no reason because it was pop-ups. And I told him he's got to stop running so hard to first because he's losing his energy to talk. That's his biggest asset is his mouth. But apparently he didn't take my advice.
To give more color, guys, he was heckling Steve on every single pitch, literally like the guy in White Man Can't Jump, just nonstop talking, but you want to just shut the heck up already. I remember it brought me back memories. I was coaching a little league team of second graders in the 4th and 5th grade league, and they started doing the same thing in second grade, and I shut them down right away. I'm like, you guys got to act professionally. You got to act maturely. You can't be, second graders when you're playing in the major leagues here. And we shut that down right away. And I was brought right back here to the same situation where like this young whippersnapper is trying to take the focus away from the veterans. It doesn't work. All it did was inspire us more. Steve all of a sudden got into another gear. He didn't give up another hit for the rest of the way. Adam was making catches in the outfield like we haven't seen in 5 years, diving all over the place. Okay, why did that all happen? Because he woke us up, and we want to thank him. Should we give him? We can thank him, right? On this.
Wait, guys, no, I got like 3 minutes, so just very quickly. I just want to make my input clear. First of all, as I mentioned in the chat just now, Archie, and I love Archie, and Archie's a great ball player. He had a lot to say last year, and deservedly so. They beat us, And when I texted him back afterwards last year, I said, "Listen, it's just gonna be a footnote in history. Like this is gonna be something that gets washed away. It was one season. Actually, they won 2 championships last year. And this is the first
One of
step
them wasn't the Bombers, though. To be clear.
Correct. And this is the first step in that process, and it's a nice step, and they're a good team, but we felt confident that we could find a way. And I just wanted to mention a couple of people that, by the way, that I don't know are going to get enough credit. First of all, Steve, again, was he at his sharpest throughout the day? He was not, but he buckled down and he got the big outs when he had to. And obviously, Steve's a fantastic pitcher, but biggest hit of the season. When we're bases loaded and 2 outs down 5-3, Steve rips a 2-run single up the middle in the 5th or 6th to tie the game. So that's the biggest hit of the season.
And then Koenig.
B. Let me get there. B. Yeah. Then Koenig comes up, right? Koenig comes up.
No,
we're tying 5-5.
Seth led it off with a single.
Yeah. Listen, Seth gives you a professional at bat every time up, and I've learned that over the years on his team. But 2, I want to mention that Koenig comes up. We're tied 5-5. Runs are coming at a premium at that point. Like people are buckling down, and he rips an extra base hit down the line to take the lead. I also want to give Koenig credit because he played an excellent left field, which people don't give him credit for because Koenig is known as a pitcher, but he actually played an excellent left field.
But he's also never played left. He's always played right and right center.
He's played right center, right? Exactly, and he played a great left field. And I also, importantly, and the biggest defensive play of the season, with nobody out in the 7th, someone comes up and it's a high chop to third, and Mike Pfeiffer makes a leaping stab. I guess not a stab. You're going up to get it. Comes down behind the bag and fires out across the diamond to first to get the out. If that ball gets through, it's a leadoff double. We're up by a run. You know how it goes.
Great throw. Great hard
just
throw.
Just an excellent play. So I just wanted to mention those 3 people specifically. And
Suck,
by the way, Suck coming off the bench with the big walk. Just did guys coming through in big spots.
He came off the bench.
Pfeiffer had, David, if you mentioned this on the podcast, Pfeiffer had a rough end of last season, and it was poetic justice how that game played out because it really had a lot of similarities to Game 3 last year. Adam, you can certainly go into more detail, but the fact that Pfeiffer made that beautiful play was, to me,
it was a fantastic play. The game goes very differently if that play's not made. So anyway,
pinch hitting for off the bench.
Allen got injured. Schiff got hurt.
We were losing guys left and right. You would think it was like a war zone. I mean, we had guys dropping everywhere. All right. Seth was playing with a blister on the bottom of his foot. Thank God we didn't see the picture until afterwards.
Did you guys yet? And I have a minute. Did you guys yet get into the average age of our team this Sunday? I think you guys should mention that at some point. But I mean, I think we were over. I think the average age was over 50, if I'm not mistaken.
47.
So,
48.
Thanks to Jack.
It was something like that. We were doing the math in the chat. So
thanks to Jack Ross, is 26-year-old, and you're 30.
Right. I'm 33. Yeah, I'm getting. Listen, exactly. And the fact that I'm
Adam,
like this young guy on the team.
Adam, you're starting to fit in with the Bombers.
I know. I have some gray hairs now. It's crazy. It's crazy. No, seriously. But anyways, it was a great win, and looking forward to this Sunday. And no, I'm not going to give any predictions about this Sunday. We got to play good. We got to play good 7-inning games. Avi's got a good team. We lost them early in the season. We're going to come in confident. We're going to play our game.
Yeah, we have just really one advantage, and that's being a veteran. And sometimes that's a disadvantage, sometimes an advantage. But just that's all we have. These guys are younger, they're faster. We're going to do our best, and I think we'll be okay. But we'll do our best. And it's going to be a great game or game.
All right, guys, I'm going to jump. I'll see you.
Thanks for coming, Adam.
Thanks, bye.
Thanks, Adam.
It seems like you guys hit Yossi Kaufman better than you had in the past.
Not really. We actually popped up a lot.
7 runs in Game 1. You put up 7 runs in Game 1.
We hit him. We hit him during the season also. In the regular season, we hit him pretty good.
But last playoffs, last championship in last spring, you guys put up maybe I don't know, didn't you put up just 8-9 runs the whole series? Unless I'm missing.
Well, you had us playing in November. All guys can't play.
No, I'm talking about last spring.
I don't remember.
I think so.
We won 3-1, lost 5-4, I think, and lost 3-2. Yeah. No, he was. Listen, Yossi's tough, man, but we have great hitters. It's hard to get guys out. Like their team also. Like their 1 through 10 lineup, except for maybe one spot, are all tough. They're all tough, and they're all like they're 8, 9, 10, or it's like any other team's 3, 4, 5. So you're gonna get hit. You got like Yussi's going against guys that are professional players. Like look at that. So you have a couple of big hits. They didn't make any
I can
errors, I
tell
don't
you
think.
personally. I can tell you personally that for the first couple of bats, Kaufman had us off balance because his pitch was slower than slow. I hate that. I mean, it was like literally you're waiting for the ball to get to the plate and it's just not getting there. And we all were lunging forward and flying out. Okay, some guys are trying to hit the ball a million miles, flyouts. And I think we adjusted, in the later innings, we adjusted and we were just poking singles, line drives up the middle, singles. No extra base hits, all singles. And that adjustment, I think, is what got us the victory, down the stretch.
Very nice. So I don't know if we want to shift gears here to the championship. Oh, no, I actually have one more thing. I sent that video, Glenn, that you dug up, the oldie but goodie from the archives of Archie. I sent it to Sach. I said, Sach, if you want to pop in for a minute. He said, no, I'm a guest on the Bombers. I don't belong on the podcast.
He's not a guest on the Bombers. He's a proud, true member of the Bombers.
Always welcome.
You should just let Archie know to get that champagne on ice ready for me. Because in the podcast, in the clip, Archie, who gives it better than anybody, says, I'm gonna send Sach I'm gonna send him goggles and champagne. I don't think he'll know what to do with it though.
Let's talk about Archie.
Wait a second, time out. Wait, Glenn, 1 second. Archie actually went to Sach's house that Friday and went to his house with a bottle of champagne for Shabbos. Yeah, that is true.
So I didn't have to dig that video out. That video is literally on my frequent playlist because I've never seen anybody gloating with a bigger smile than Archie. And I love Archie. I think he's a great, great player, a great hitter. And by the way, he looks great. Have you seen him recently? The guy looks like a different person. For a guy who hasn't been doing a lot of eating in the last couple of months, he ate his words pretty hard on Sunday, and I love that.
Glenn, when did you come up with that
Archie
line?
played well, though.
Right now, baby.
Archie had a good game. He actually showed up. He had a couple of hits. Archie was tough. He had a big hit in game 1. He's tough.
Yeah, he's a really professional hitter because he also takes Steve the other way, which a lot of guys don't. And I think he does it intentionally because that gives him the best chance of getting a hit. We actually brought 5 infielders on him for the first time ever against him in a big spot, and he still found a hole. Our defense was not exactly the best that we've ever been, but he hit a hard ball for a single in a big spot to get an extra run. So he's a good hitter. No question about it. And by the way, Kaufman's professional, Archie's professional. They have a lot of good players over there. But Steve, you don't poke the lion, and Steve's the lion in this case, and you don't poke him because, he takes it to another gear that you maybe don't think he has. And Steve, you probably know the stats better than anybody, but I would say in the last, 15 batters, maybe one guy got on base.
I don't know exactly. As Younger told me something. There was, I think, after they scored, I think it was 8 straight, and then they had one base runner in the 5th or 6th, and that was it from the 3rd inning on. I think they had one or two base runners, maybe. I think. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's what Ezzy told me at the end of the game. I couldn't hear him over the rest of the noise, but that was.
It's interesting. I was going to say what was Gordon Company's missing that they had last year, but it was almost identical in a sense. Like,
Ellie Race would claim. Ellie Race would claim it was Ellie Race.
Yeah, but they had Ellie Koenigsberg.
By the way, Ellie Race did nothing last season. What was Ellie Race talking about? Ellie Race. He was like
By the way, shout out to Ellie Race and Uri Adler, who just got knocked out of the wild card round in the YMSL Sunday morning. So Ellie decided to spend his day in Deal, New Jersey, getting swept in the wild card round instead of trying to help his team win get to the championship. I guess he rightfully deserved what was served to him. Anyways, go ahead.
So the lesson for this first segment, David and Avi, is, you don't poke the lion, especially a veteran lion he's been in more games than anybody, and you get Steve. Now Steve can sometimes come unwound a little bit, but when he's focused, and he was super focused on Sunday, game 3, last 4 innings or so, you don't mess with this guy.
You said one of the last 13 hitters reached base?
Something like that. It was a very quiet.
What was their biggest lead in game 3?
5-2, I think it was, right?
5-2. They won up 5-2 in the second.
5-2. I would say
they're up 5-2 in the second.
I would say in innings 4, 5, 6, and 7, maybe they had one, maybe 2 base runners in total.
David, that's why I said my prediction was on the way to coming true at the end of 2 innings, and then it went backwards and flopped on its head.
You know, there was a lot of very similar events in this Game 3 than last year's Game 3. And I want to really touch on this because this should be a good segue to our next segment that I'd like to bring up. You know, last year in Game 3, we had a lead going down the stretch, and there was 2-1. Avi, you did the recording. You were there. And there was a Dom call into second base. And, you know, sometimes the script just writes itself, guys. It's like you can't even ask for it. It just happens. Well, if you caught the Duke game last night in college baseball and you saw the play in the ninth inning, David, I sent this to you earlier. I don't know if you saw it.
I didn't see it yet.
It was the exact same play as Donnie Perlman sliding at second base. It was first and third, last inning, two hopper to short, flip to second, and the runner comes in, slides right where he's supposed to slide, and the umpire pulled a Dom and called interference. And they pile on each other on the mound, and the game's over. And they go to the replay. And the replay booth correctly says, no, legal slide, play on. Okay? So I am certainly in favor of HSL having a replay room. We can let Avi and Ariel work on that together in the dark basements in Queens. And they can report back to everybody, you know, where Dom makes mistakes.
Ellie Race is saying that he brings more than a bat. He brings a big bong with him to the games, and that all he knows is he's never lost to the Bombers in the postseason.
He's only played us once.
And he barely did anything that game.
And in the first game this season, he lost us when he played against us. So relax.
That lefty no name on Gordon this year, I think he may have been influenced by something the way the race was last year. So I can't explain his behavior. He's normally a normal person, but he was acting very abnormally.
And I think we got to get into the next segment where we got to talk about the upcoming championship. Before we start, I want to congratulate Usher. Is that Usher? Who's Usher? Usher Ross on YouTube?
He's our catcher.
Oh, he's your catcher. He says he's talking to Race. He says it's a team sport. So, we have another cameo.
Whoa!
From the hospital.
I got a few minutes.
Wow. The Ofmans are bringing it today.
I'm very excited.
The Ofmans are literally the hardest people to get on the podcast. Like, your younger brother, we tried getting on the basketball podcast. I was begging on my hands and knees.
He's a tough one. He's a busy guy.
Hey, David, can I just jump in? David, David, can I jump in? When Shuey came on, Edelman's reaction was priceless because the last time Edelman saw Shuey, the ball still hasn't landed.
That happened a long time ago. Edelman's gotten me over the last, everyone talks about that home run. Edelman's got me over the last few years.
But I think I see like a P name down there.
Guys.
Hey, where'd Shuey go? Where'd he go?
Wow, he just comes and goes.
He just comes and goes.
Shuey's shot, the shot heard around the world, is still living in Avi's head.
All right, so we got to get to that. So first of all, Glenn, a big Yasher Koach, a big Mazel Tov on winning the batting title, 609, which is nuts. I think it was actually higher than...
By the way, I was going to say, especially in this Titan league, we were dealing with really legit pitching. You're dealing with Kaufman. Ariel Cohen is a legit pitcher. He's a really good pitcher. Myself, I'm not a phenomenal pitcher, but I'm pretty good myself. It's not like you're not dealing with kids here. It's batting over 600 in this league. Like a lot of leagues a lot of leagues out there that have really good pitching also have really bad pitching. In this league, you don't really have really bad pitching for the most part, and you don't really have really bad fields. So I think
that's one of the things I wanted to bring up, which is, I've always wondered, like, what's the maximum batting average you could have in a league? And Avi, if you weren't pitching in the A-League, Glenn might be looking at a 700 or 800 batting average. And I guess
that was a spring training game. What are you talking about?
And I guess the big question for you, Glenn, is: are you working with a hitting coach? Are you watching video? Are you watching game tape? How are you going to prepare for your big showdown with the commissioner next Sunday?
Honestly, Avi's a good pitcher. He's got a lot of junk. His junk has junk. And I basically am just going to do whatever I can do to get on base. That's my role as the number 2 hitter on this team. My role is different than I'm used to. I'm just an on base guy. Just get on base any way you can. It doesn't really matter. And so that's my approach. And I'll let the Ofman, Jack Ross, and anyone else that's coming out behind them do the damage.
Got it.
By the way, just a little bit about Jack Ross. He didn't get enough credit for this series. I have it written down here. Jack Ross, game 1, when we won 7-4, he was 2 for 4, scored 2 runs, had 4 RBIs. Game 2, he was 1 for 2 with a walk. And game 3, he was 4 for 4 with 2 runs, a double, and 2 RBIs.
Wow, I didn't know he was 4 for 4. I knew he had a good game.
Monster.
Avi, we really should be keeping stats for the playoffs. I mean, this is playoff MVP type of behavior in the semis. I mean, we'll see what he does. We'll see.
Yeah, I would give Jack and Steve co-MVPs for that last series.
That's pretty amazing, though, because I was under the impression from some of these podcasts that Jack was still, working his way up in the upper echelons, but it sounds like he really, really cemented himself in this.
Jack is already upper echelon. He's already upper
offensively,
echelon. Wow.
And he plays a great outfield too.
Yeah, well, he's a superstar. And he runs the bases well.
Yeah, but Avi's a professional pitcher. We rib him, no pun intended, but we rib, pun meaning that Shuey lost a rib, but we rib him here and there. But
sorry about that. I'm back.
Speaking of ribs,
I'm sorry. But no, as I was saying, Edelman. Everyone talks about the home run. Edelman has gotten me over the last few years. He's pitched me really well, and it was a big home run, but it's over with, and he's gotten me. He's gotten me over the last few years.
It was June 26, 2022, so the statute of limitations hasn't expired yet.
Chewy, what are you in the hospital for?
Oh man, I'm excited to watch this upcoming week. It's gonna be a good game.
Chewy, what are you in the hospital for?
He can't hear you. He had a rib removed.
Oh, I had thoracic outlet syndrome, so I had to get my rib removed.
Wow, is it a
anyone hear him, or it's just me?
Can you guys
Matt
hear
Harvey,
me?
yeah, the Matt Harvey injury, yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Except Chewy's going to come back a lot better than Matt Harvey did.
There you go.
Dave, are you echoing? Does anyone else hear an echo when he talks?
Yeah, it's a little bit weird.
Okay.
Dave, are you echoing? It sounds like you're echoing to me.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I can't hear Dave.
They're changing his bedpan as we speak.
No, I gotta use the bathroom. I haven't used the bathroom in 2 days, and it's a bit of an issue.
Do
So.
that off camera, please.
Okay, but I'm happy I got on.
Is Dave going out and coming back in?
Wait, don't leave. I'm trying to fix my mic issue. 1 minute. Don't leave, Chewy.
Now we hear you.
Okay, good.
Is there a does anyone else hear a massive? What's up? Does anybody else hear a massive echo from Dave, or is it just me?
No,
He's getting better.
He's getting much better.
So Chewy, I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna go out and come back in.
Is it a sports-related injury? Thoracic outlet syndrome?
I had the kids bring me out chicken.
Chewy, he wants to know if it's a sports-related injury.
The doctor said it could be sports-related. It could be from lifting. It also happens to just random individuals. He actually had a 14-year-old gymnast who he did the surgery to about a month ago, and she was back in the gym 2 weeks later. So it just happens. He actually came in this morning and said, "My first rib was very broad." So he said that also probably played a role. But
I think it was from that June 26, 2022, when you had all of us on your shoulders and carried us to victory. It was worth it. It was worth it, right?
Because I remember with Harvey, I think he came back from Tommy John and he pitched all those innings, and they were saying that he overdid it, right?
Supposedly the way these baseball players do it is different how my surgeon did it. He did it robotically, which is through the side, and it's less invasive. So there's really no restrictions right now for myself. Like if I wanted to, I could probably swing a bat this week or 2 weeks.
How did you figure out that you had the syndrome?
I had shoulder pain for a very long time, and I was working out like 2 months ago. And then the next day, my shoulder and my hand became all swollen and red. And then I went to a doctor, and they found a blood clot in my shoulder. So the blood clot is going away, but from that, they knew it was thoracic outlet.
So if you could swing a bat in a week, is there a Kirk Gibson cameo moment?
I haven't spoken to Coach Glenn and Coach Steve about this yet.
We tried to get him in yesterday, Sunday, even just to pitch
We're
a run or something. He wouldn't do it.
we're
I was
gonna
a little
wheel Shuey
nervous.
out there. We're gonna wheel Shuey out there so he can have like
This,
a
these
Apollo-like look on his face to Avi Edelman when Shuey walks onto the field, like Rocky getting up in the 14th round in their rematch, and
Listen,
that's just what happened.
they looked pretty good yesterday. I don't think they need me.
You guys are missing a lot of stuff on YouTube where Usher Ross and Ellie Race are in a heated dispute about whether catcher is an important role on a team or not.
Of course, catcher is a critical role on a team.
100%.
Critical role.
Race
Especially
is,
when you throw hard.
Race is a full-time troll. All right, so we got to get to 20.
Such had two big foul tip catches for strikeouts Sunday, and he took a massive hit, like worse than Connor McDavid took yesterday in the second period when it was a throw home that Kodak made a good throw up the line, and he got smacked. I forgot who was coming in, but it was a big collision. But catcher keeps me calm, keeps me also. If you have a good catcher, knows where to set up. He frames pitches. He works the umps. He gets the ball back to the pitcher, keeps him in rhythm. The catcher is super important.
So Usher is saying
Ellie Race wouldn't know because he's too busy with that Bond guy, apparently.
All right, so let's get to the upcoming series, and we can't talk about 2025 without, Trump says you can't talk about 2024 without talking about 2020. Similarly, you can't talk about 2025 without talking about 2022. Avi, the first question for you is, you had a big lead in 2022, 7-run lead, 8-run lead, something like that. What do you think happened? Why do you think you collapsed? I mean, I say that as a friend, and I say it as somebody who hopes you can learn from it, and wondering, look what happened to Gordon Companies on Sunday. They have a 5-2 lead in the second. I wouldn't call that in control. It's not a 7-8-run lead. But then Steve gets 13 guys out in a row. Bombers are a very challenging team to pin down.
Yeah, but before I start, I want to, first of all, give a quick shout out to the game that has been rightfully overshadowed this past Sunday. My team, QJL, BJL, you guys hear me, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, my team, we were up 1-0 going into the series. Game 2, Ariel Cohen pitched the best game I've ever seen him pitch in my life. He allowed one loop single to left field and dropped it in left field. And other than that, nothing. He threw a one hitter. He shot us out. He beat us 1-0. And in game 2, we had a very, very bad first inning. We fell behind 3-0. It then went to 5-1. Going into the 6th, our team was defeated. We were depressed. We didn't want to have any more business being there. And we somehow pulled together. We scored 2 in the 6th. We scored 2 in the 7th to tie it at 5, and then we walked it off in the 8th. So I need to start by giving my team credit because we have no business being in this championship game. We played like total garbage in both games. Ariel threw a one-hitter through the first 12 innings of the day Sunday, and we, against all odds, pulled it off. So first I want to shout them out.
That's a great comeback.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
It was again.
Wait,
it was,
By the way, I
Avi,
tried to get both Zinn and Lowinger on today. They're both
Avi, can I interrupt for
busy.
1 second? Let me just interrupt 1
Yeah,
second
sure.
on that. So Ariel took a lot of heat. Some of it is rightfully so for the HSL, that All-Star game, whatever's happening, and some of it not rightfully so. So the rightfully so is that this is not an All-Star game of 2025 HSL against the Muncie League. It's an All-Star game of it's basically the league's guys, the 5-town players for years and years and years, the best players in the 5 towns against the best players in Muncie. And because it happens to be under HSL's umbrella, they decided they want to take the reins. So that was how we framed it. You had to be an HSL player in order to qualify that way. So I know Ariel was talking about his stats and whatever, and he rightfully deserves a spot especially after that performance Sunday, to be considered to be one of the pitchers in this game based on this year's stats and this year's performances. There's no doubt. there's two things that worked against Ariel. One is that he's never played outside of the five towns. No one knows him outside of the five towns. So it's not, there's a little bit of juice when you face guys in different tournaments and know guys from different places, and then you want to face him, and then he's facing, so that takes away part of the game. The second part of it is, as good as he's been in the A division, the guy is still pitching in the B division. If you're pitching in the B League,
that's the big thing. He's known as the B pitcher.
If you're pitching in the B League after doing what he did, especially what he did this week in the semifinals, that shows you either you don't belong in the B. I mean, obviously he doesn't belong in the B, or it shows you don't have confidence enough to keep playing in the A. So why would an all-star team want to have you represent them if you're pitching in the B League? Or C, you're not a competitor, or a competitor enough that you're still playing in the B League and you're destroying people because they can't hit you. So there's going to be opportunities for Ariel to obviously show his stuff in these kind of games in the future if he continues on this path. But I just wanted to clear that up because he took some heat, some of it rightfully so, some of it not rightfully so. And also he has to understand, and other people have to understand what this game is really about. It's not really about 1 year's all-star team. But he was fantastic. And then the fact that he had a no-hitter going into the fifth or sixth inning yesterday in Game 3 after pitching a one-hitter in Game 2 against a really good lineup.
Crazy.
But
crazy.
On that note, any league, and whether it's his own or someone else's, that allows him to pitch in a B league again should not be. It's just not a real league anymore because it's just not fair. It's just not right. Yossi Kaplan's not pitching in a B league this week. No one would even consider him being allowed to do that. Nor would obviously not pitching in a B league, although he can make a case for it. But that's it. You want to pitch in the B league, you're not eligible for any extra curricular type of games, whatever. It's just not. It's just not shaykh, as they say. We're bringing the yeshivish into this twice now.
Correct.
Very all very well said. But speaking of that point, I think it will be fun to do an A League versus B League All-Star game at some point. And then Ariel will have to decide which side is on there.
Hey, David, I just want to point out that Shuey is personifying all the listeners on this podcast. He's literally sleeping.
I'm staying up.
You say we need some better content.
On the note of the
Avi, you're giving a big shout out to the.
On
Go
the
ahead,
note,
Avi. You didn't answer my question yet.
On the note, no. So on the note of the 2022 championship, I think it was a mixture of two things. I think the smaller thing was the heat. I got very tired very quick. And I think the bigger thing was my young it was 4 years ago. I got in my own head. We were up really large, and typically when you're up those type of numbers, the other team responds being very defeated. The Buffers were the opposite. We went up, I think it was 6-0 or 8-0 or 8-1, and the Bombers
8-1.
came out as confident as any team could come out, as if it was 8-1 theirs. Like, I've never seen anything like it. And then you got 2-3 hits in a row, and everyone's going nuts. And in my mind, I would sort of be more comfortable if we're up by 1 or 2 runs. Because we're up by 1 or 2 runs, I buckle down. Up by 8 runs, 7 runs, I'm thinking like, okay, I can't get back into this. They're such a good team. I can't get back into it. Then before I know it, it's 8-3. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to get this right now. I can't get more confidence. Then it's 8-5, and they're yelling. And then it's 8-7. And then we go back up 11-7, but then they scratch a run across in the 5th inning to make it 11-8. And in my mind, the whole day, it's like, you can't let the Bombers get anything, because the second they get something, they're going to come back. And it wasn't like, okay, get one out at a time, you're up by 7 runs. And it's kept getting more and more in my head, and eventually led to the Shuey offense 3-run home run, which ultimately did us in the bottom of the 6th. But I think those were the two issues. It was really hot out.
The 8th. Avi, I think it was in the 8th, not the 6th. It was
I meant.
game.
I'm sorry.
It was the 8th. It was the 8th.
I'm thinking 7-inning game. It was the before our last licks in the top of the last.
We moved way past that, so I don't remember any of the innings or the details.
But I think those are the two things.
What's the forecast for Sunday?
Well, Avi, but you're still not answering the question, because you're proving my point. You're saying that you've learned from that, but look what they did to Gordon Companies. Like I said, 5-2 in the second is not 8-1 in the second, but it's not a lot of outs to go between them and getting into the championship. But something happened.
David, it was 5-3 in the 6th, wasn't it, Steve?
And then you have Steve
5-2 in the 6th. 5-2 in the 6th.
5-2 in the 6th. But was late.
Steve, the situation where you hit the 2-run single, what was the situation?
2 outs, bases loaded. in the sixth inning,
Top
and
six.
top six, bases loaded, 2 outs in the sixth. Yossi was throwing a lot of junk all day. He wasn't coming in hard. I just, Glenn, right before the at bat, came over to me and said, right up the middle. First pitch up the middle. First pitch, he threw it was a meatball. I mean, he was just trying to get a strike, threw it over the middle, and I cracked one up the middle. Line drive up the middle, 2 runs scored, tied it up. Next guy, I forgot what happened.
That's what I'm saying. When you're thinking about the game-winning hit or a game-tying hit against this Bombers team, you're not thinking Steve Pollan, a ground ball up the middle or a line drive up the middle in the sixth inning. Glenn gives him that piece of advice. He takes it, does it off the sheriff. So there's a lot of there's going to be hopefully 3 games. I'm just saying you better do some homework. You better
Steve's been ripping the ball, David.
What's that?
I did the same thing
been ripping the ball
last year also.
Steve's been hitting the ball hard.
No disrespect intended. No disrespect intended.
Steve's always hit me hard. A lot of times it's down the third base line, but it's always hard. The one thing I'll tell you for myself, confidence wise, obviously at that time I was still breaking into the A-League world. So when I'm facing those type of hitters, I'm very intimidated as it is. So I could fall apart a lot easier. And now I think I'm in pitching and against high leverage hitters for the last 3 years. So definitely I'm more mentally sharp in that capacity. The other thing I'll tell you, which I think the more important thing is, this is the best team I've ever pitched in front of, by far, especially in the field. I have guys like Zid and Rokach at short and third. Nothing on the ground is going to get through on the left side unless it's literally hit absolute rocket. Those guys are studs. When you have a guy like Yaakov Sabo at second and, Benji Ashkenazi either at second or behind the plate, and guys like Noah Aaron and Ari Moskovic and, Shirley Friedman, we have a fantastic defense. It's a defense that will match up with any team in the league, if not we're the best defense in the league. All I have to do for myself
I think you are the best defense in the league.
All I got to do is not walk guys. I don't even have to be an excellent Avi Edelman. I just got to not walk guys like I normally don't, and we'll automatically be in the game. That's my mentality, which sort of takes the pressure off a little bit, because when in 2022 we had a good team, we didn't have a great team. It was still when the leagues were mixed together, so we had a few guys in our team who aren't anywhere close to anyone on the Bombers. So a little more pressure is okay. I have to win the game for my team, which automatically gets me to be a little bit more wild. I think I walked a couple guys in those rallies that they had. The team we have now, we're really stacked. We have a lineup of Benji, Zin, Jonas. I didn't mention Jonas and Lowinger.
Avi, I'm just telling you, you gotta just take it as a somewhat outsider. You gotta have some tricks up your sleeve and be ready for anything. That's all I'm trying to say. So
what does that mean?
Steve, Glenn, and Shuey. Let's put it on the other foot. You guys, Steve and Glenn, you're clearly aging. Shuey is laid up in the hospital. The Bombers are breaking.
How do you define clearly?
I don't know. I'm just looking to troll.
All I know is that I was the guy that was still standing after Game 3 last week, and I was thrown hard in the 7th inning. So
he was throwing. It was the hardest.
He's playing mind games on us now, Steve.
Don't clearly aging me with that.
The last 2 innings of that game last week was I think the hardest I've ever seen Steve throw the ball. I mean, I was in the dugout, but every pitch was a zip. Every pitch.
Yeah, it's very interesting because you guys, and I love Yossi. I think he's a great pitcher, but they really were very different. Yossi was very effective against us on Sunday by just throwing meatballs, getting us off balance, and we were flying out repeatedly over and over and over and over again. And it was very effective until we figured him out. And even then, we didn't score a lot of runs. I think we're a fastball hitting team, not a meatball or a junk hitting team. Whereas Steve he's got a changeup, but his changeup is faster than most people's fastballs. So, Steve he just bears in on you and really takes the bat. He dominates the at bat a lot more than Yossi dominates the at bat. So I just want to just for the record say that whereas last year you guys anointed Yossi as the best pitcher in the league and coined him as the sheriff. I think there's a new sheriff in town.
Glenn, this is a brilliant idea. Glenn, you know how in some leagues, the Stanley Cup, they give it from team to team. At the end of the year, there's one trophy or a couple of them, and the team gets it for the year. Maybe the sheriff, whoever wins the championship, gets to be the sheriff for the year. So if Steve wins it, he's the sheriff.
Yossi's the sheriff. Yossi is the sheriff. He earned it. He keeps it.
Okay, all right.
He won
So,
3
Yeah,
championships last year.
there's gotta be a designation that's higher than a sheriff, like the mayor. Steve's the mayor.
You don't need designations. I just want to win a championship. That's it. I just want to win a
Okay, so
championship. That's
I
all I
agree
care about.
100%.
Glenn and Steven Shuey, you're looking at Avi's team. He is a stronger team than 2 years ago, 3 years ago. He got rid of some of the B League guys like myself. It was a combination of some A League players and some B League players. I think A to Z on that team, they're all A League players now. They're more experienced. You know, Moshe Zin back then was probably, I don't know, how old is he now even? Is he 25, 26?
No, he's
I
got to
think he might be like 24.
23,
24.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So he might have been 2021 then. They've played a lot more. They have a lot more experience in these leagues. They know the Bombers got tricks up their sleeves. What do you guys tricks up your sleeve? I just mean very resilient, very crafty. You know, there's a famous story from back then that I don't remember who told Avi after the game. Avi came into the dugout after like the 5th inning and was like, "I'm done. I'm just totally out of gas." And someone in the Bombers was listening in.
Abish.
Oh, it was Abish.
It's still
Yeah,
hot.
Abish.
It's still hot till it's very there.
It
That's the
haunts
only
me too,
other
Avi.
thing.
It haunts
Other than
me
the
too.
Shuey other than the Shuey home run, that's the only other thing that keeps on ringing in my head.
Well, I can tell you that other than everything you just said, I think Avi's team is fantastic. They're getting better and better, and I'm expecting it to be a totally different kind of game than the 12-10 in 2022.
Yeah.
I'm expecting low scoring games, and I'm hoping that for both sides that errors not decide it, but rather hits decide it.
Yeah, Glenn, can I just,
That-
first of all, we're a much different team than we were in 2022 also. We're
Oh,
a
yeah.
much different team, much better team. Adam Ofman was not there for that championship game.
Yeah.
That's first off. Our
Wait,
outfield
let's go
was
into that. What happened? He had like he was studying.
His
What was
wife,
he doing?
his wife
his
was
wife
in
gave
labor,
birth.
Oh,
She gave
that's
birth
valid
that day.
excuse.
but he
He had a baby that day.
actually wanted to. He
I
wanted
would
to
have been
play.
there, just letting you
He
know.
really
Like,
wanted to play.
It's a valid
Yeah.
excuse.
So
Yeah,
Adam
yeah.
wasn't there. I think Shuey was hurt. He played, but he was hurt, I think. Our team was not the same. Jack Ross was not on the team. No, Shuey, not Shuey Ofman, Shuey Weiss. Not Shuey,
Shuey
Shia. We were a much different team. Second off, Avi's team at that time, like you guys said, was not that good. At least they're not like they are now. Now they're stacked. They've proven themselves in real leagues, and we had zero respect for them back then. Zero, because we owned them back then. So like Zin, I didn't know who Zin was. So I just saw a skinny little kid batting. I think he had a grand slam that game because I just figured
Steve knew who Zin was after the first inning.
Yeah, so he hit a grand slam because all of a sudden he hit a meatball, like just trying to get a strike over, and he hit a ball over the left fielder's head. I'm like, okay, now I know who this guy is. So a lot of their guys that we didn't respect because we didn't know who they were, now we respect. They're much, and they're also better now than they were back then. So you're not going to have from a approach standpoint, I'm not going to approach them like I approached them, 4 years ago, obviously. But they're tough, man. They're real tough. So we're gonna do what we have to do. We have our guys. We have confidence in our guys, and our guys. Sometimes we don't play our best. We did not play well Sunday at all. I don't think, except for Jack's hitting, I don't think anyone played to their capabilities and max, and we pulled it out. So we just
Noah Aaron at all? He's a new addition.
Yes.
Obviously.
Excellent hitter, excellent player.
We have a bunch of new additions.
I was when they brought his name up for the All-Star game, I was mosking right away. He was a great hitter. Legit, solid bat, goes both ways, left field, right field. He's a legit player.
I need to bring my Hebrew dictionary to these chats. What was that word you just used?
Glenn, I can never figure out how much Jewish stuff you know or don't know. Sometimes you surprise me.
I went to Ramaz. I went to BMT in Israel. I knew the first two words. What did you say? Moskmim?
Moskim.
Moskim?
Maskim.
All right. I didn't study enough Gemara to really use that in my vocabulary.
Oh, that's funny. I remember when you brought the rule book, you said, I don't know Gemara, but I know how to read a softball rule book in last year's podcast.
That's
so
true.
I got to jump off in 2 minutes. We got to do predictions. I know what Steve's going to say. Steve is going to say, we're going to come very well prepared. We're going to give it our best, and we'll see what happens. I know Steve well enough to know that that's his prediction, but I need something a little meatier from Avi and Glenn. and Chewy.
I'll just tack on that I'm expecting a lower scoring game. I'm also hoping, besides for a clean game, no errors, but also a no Dom effect game. I don't want Dom making any calls that we're going to be talking about next week.
True.
If we get
Yeah,
that, I think there'll be a
Avi, is
very
Dom
tight,
working the
exciting game.
games? Avi, is Dom working the games?
he is. Yeah.
Avi,
Dom
is
is
Dom
in.
working?
Yes. Dom's working the games. Dom's working the games.
Okay.
He's in. Yeah, he's in. I mean, I don't know. I
Are we
don't know.
getting two
Glenn
umpires?
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Listen, I think if we, I'm not gonna make any predictions, and I think it's gonna be close games. But I think if I'm gonna say that classic line, if we don't make any mistakes, if we don't walk people and we don't make errors, I think our hitting will take care of business, and we'll be fine. But we have
Big
to play a
if.
good. We have to play a good field.
Wait, but guys, 2 games or 3? Glenn and Chewy, 2 games.
No,
2 games or
it's
3?
two. I thought
No,
Oh, it's
it's a
it's
3-game
2
series.
games this Sunday. No.
right.
No. My question is the series
Oh,
going
oh,
to go?
Oh,
oh, oh,
I,
oh,
I
oh.
ain't making. I ain't making that prediction.
Yeah.
I'm like my brother. I don't. You know.
I think just because the teams are so evenly matched, I think it's going 3. But anything can happen, honestly. Avi's pitching 2, I assume. Steve's pitching 2.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's So
I
I
mean, again, I think overall the Bombers have more talent than we do, but our field is just so good. I can't see it not going 3. As long as I don't walk guys, even if I'm lobbing the ball over the middle practically every time, our field is dominant. Like it's very difficult. It's very difficult to give up runs. The only 3 runs we got up on Sunday was when Rokach decided to oversleep the first game and missed the first inning of the second game, and we had a couple plays towards that spot that wasn't handled well, which led to 2-3 runs. Other than that, we gave up 1 run all day. I mean, the Robins aren't a good hitting team, but our field is fantastic. I don't walk guys. I think I've been playing these guys for not as long as they've been playing together, but we've been playing together on the same team for 4 or 5 years.
that's
We're
what
really
it takes,
fast.
Avi. You've built it well.
Yeah, we're really fast. We're really young, and we like we said, we got rid of a lot of the B-level players, and we added guys like Noah Aaron, who's a professional, Jonas Longer, who could get a hit off anybody at any time, no matter how pesky he is. And by the way, he showed power on Sunday. He did a bomb over the left fielder's head, helping us with the comeback. And even a guy like Benji Ashkenazi, who's a professional, also could get a hit off any pitcher at any time. He's very solid in the field. We added real pros, and we kept our Yakov Sabos and our Zins and our our Rokachs and our Moskovics, and we have a really, really solid lineup and an unbelievable team in the field. I
So
don't
what's
see
the
a scenario in
prediction?
which it doesn't go.
What's the prediction, Avi?
I say QJL, BJL in 3. It's the revenge here for Avi Edelman for our team.
Final
Bombers
score
have
game 3. Final score
Bombers have
game
enough.
3.
Bombers have enough championships. We need our first. We were talking as we were down 5-2. This is undefeated. We're down 5-1 in the 5th. We were talking how like we have to come back because we haven't made a championship since we lost to the Bombers, and this is our year to finally get back at them. And we were all depressed that it wasn't going to happen. Now that we have the comeback, now we have no choice. We must finish it off. I think every game's gonna be low scoring. Our team's listen. I love my team. We're not scoring more than 4 runs in any game. I don't think we haven't done it all year.
Hey,
We
Avi,
don't score.
can we get the game live stream so Archie can watch?
Yes.
What, Avi? One last thing before we jump off.
I got my work phone right here. I'll make sure it's connected to the live stream the game.
Guys,
Archie doesn't wake up.
I gotta go use the bathroom. I'm heading out. But
All
thank
right,
you
sure,
guys for
feel
letting me
better.
join.
Thanks for coming on, Chewy.
Be good.
Archie doesn't
See
wake up for
everyone
his own
soon.
games. He's not waking up for this game.
Avi, Steve and Glenn mentioned there was somebody, bigger, whatever the term is, chirping at them, and it got them going. I will tell you, nothing gets it. When you play against the Bombers Sunday, nothing gets Glenn going more than seeing Avi Edelman yell at one of his fielders. That's when they know. That's when they know you're finished. So I'll tell you like this.
I'm guaranteeing that Avi will yell at one of the fielders.
By the way, that's a misconception, David. It's a misconception. I have a very hard time controlling myself, especially when feeling like really bad plays. It typically doesn't affect my pitching. It's a big misconception in the softball world.
I don't know if it affects your pitching, but I'll tell you this: Glenn will know that they got you right where they want you.
Oh, okay.
I'm guaranteeing Avi yells at his fielders. He can't help himself.
It happens. Actually, the first
right,
game,
guys,
I actually played very well. I lost it in the first inning of the second game, but we pulled it off. And we won. That's all that matters.
It's always a lot of Glenn and Steve. It's always a lot of fun.
It's gonna be a great series, guys, and keep doing the good work you guys do.
Thanks. We love you guys. You're always so supportive. Hopefully it goes 3 games and we can do it again next week. something like that. It's a lot of fun. But good luck, everybody, on Sunday.
Thanks,
All right,
Doug.
guys.
Have a
Good
good one.
luck.
Thank you. Bye.